Hi, everybody. Today, Thursday, August 7th, 2025, and our friend Andrei Martyanov is back with us. Welcome back, Andrei.
My pleasure.
Let's start with the meeting between Steve Witkoff and Vladimir Putin. It seems that there are some positive signs on the part of the United States is talking about it, but what can we learn about the Russian part? I think it's more important, and they gonna tell us the way that it is. They're not gonna exaggerate. They're gonna diminish the importance of the talks. What are they talking about it? What was the outcome? What was the nature of the talks? It positive, negative?
Anytime Americans and Russians talk, it's positive. It's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's highly desirable. The issue here is that we cannot do anything in terms of interpreting things which are highly guarded. And it's not about just, obviously, Witkov is envoy for a simple reason. There are some things which we do not want to discuss, even within the very narrow circle, especially in the United States. So he carries messages. He's essentially the messenger. Envoy is a messenger. And so we know only one thing for sure, 150% sure. It's the Mr. Vushakov, as reported by Russian press, Russian media, including video, where he states, and I quote him, American side presented to us an offer which seems acceptable to us. I quoted him verbatim. It's like word for word. So, and whatever this offer was, obviously, it's not just Ukraine. That is what many people still cannot wrap their brains around. It is about strategic stability, and Ukraine is a part of it. So, and considering what is happening on the ground right now, a Russian army is deep inside Krasnoarmeysk, which is also known as Pokrovsk, which is Ukrainian name. So, and yeah, it's not only that. We have Konstantinovka, we have now Slavyansk. So yeah, it's going, and Russian conditions are pretty much known. So whatever United States offered to Russia, at least it what initiated the agreement on part of Vladimir Putin, saying, okay, yeah, we can meet and discuss this. Whatever the work will be done, because it is very short for preparation of that type of a meeting, the summit of the two superpowers. Whatever it will be prepared there and whatever will be agreed upon there, we may never know actually the full extent of it. And people obviously gonna be, they already do this. Oh, you cannot trust the United States, you cannot trust Trump. Yes, you can't. We know that the guy is absolutely not trustworthy, and Americans are non-agreement capable. Whatever the agreement you sign with American side is not the worst paper on which it is signed. But here is the issue. It was the United States which initiated it because obviously logic of circumstances and balance of power in its shifting is such that they literally have nowhere to go. It's like, it's Al Capone thing, you with the good, kind word and the gun, you can get much further than with the kind word alone. Russia has the gun, and if you look attentively at events, especially related to tariffs, it is a it is a complete catastrophe for the United States because they have been told to pound sand by India, by China, by Brazil, by just everybody. So nobody even afraid of those tariffs, and somebody is beginning to get the message that basically the United States is not what it thought it used to be. So, and when you put this together and together with the basically the fight on the line of the combat contact, which moves inexorably to the west. So yeah, you have the circumstances which they better now offer something. But yeah, the issue and conditions from Russian side never changed in the last 36 months, and they are the same. And especially the critical phase quote of considering the realities on the ground. So simple as that.
Usually, Andre, these sort of meeting happen when the technical teams talk to each other and they reach some sort of agreement, and then the two presidents come together and make it official.
Yeah.
What's happening on the part in the case of Ukraine? we don't know what's going on behind the scene. And Witkov, the only person who's talking about Ukraine, as who's somehow communicating with Russians, is him. And do we know any other person
Yes, yes.
who's that?
We know that actually Mr. Narishkin, the chief of the director of the SVR, and Mr. Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA, they do talk. We know that CIA and SVR are talking somehow. So, and it was underscored many times. There are some other lines of communications which have been opened once Trump came to power, and so there are some kind of indicators here and there, that you understand that the dialogue was ongoing for a while. So we'll see, will they manage to prepare everything for next week as they try to schedule it at least. But again, Vladimir Putin and everybody repeats that it could happen. Most likely it will happen, but it's still the could, it's kind of like, yeah, there is some degree of uncertainty in terms of meeting. But as I already stated, unlike with Europeans, Russians and Americans better talk. They must talk. Two nuclear superpowers, how they go, the world goes, essentially. United States obviously failed with its tariffs and all that. And so suddenly, it's probably the last off-ramp, if you wish, for Trump, especially now mired in Epstein case and Gaza, atrocity, war crimes, which United States evidently supports. So, and for him, I mean, from the practical point of view, it's the only way also to save his whatever's left of his authority, at least for a little while. But then again, Russians do not make any kind of the do not feel any there are no illusions whatsoever on who they're dealing with and why they are dealing with. But obviously Witkov, who presented himself as a viable not negotiator, he doesn't really negotiate, he negotiates, he just goes between,
He's
go
a
in
messenger.
messenger, yeah. But he is an important messenger and he knows what he's delivering in terms of message. And obviously there are some things there which could be done only verbally, and probably in some of this room in the White House where nobody can hear you, you can only two of you, so which is a chamber which is completely impervious for any kind of eavesdropping. And so he evidently said to Putin that, yeah, there are some things which we would offer you, and he said, okay, we may consider this. Let's meet.
Yeah. Because if we assume Donald Trump himself, he's not even yesterday or the day before, he was asked about Ukrainians and the situation with the Ukrainian army. The reporter was asking him if he knows about that Zelensky is sending people of the age of 60 and above 60. He said he has never heard about that.
Oh
I
no,
know.
Trump. Yeah, Trump is. In this case, let's keep in mind, Trump in itself, his presidency is effectively over, and he is. And again, the only support he had was among MAGA. But then, of course, there were the two critical things which are happening right now. There are war crimes in Gaza, which he supports, or he pretends that he doesn't support. But, and he is owned by the billionaires, the class of the American billionaires, the people who have no morality or anything, and especially other, the widow of Adelson and other Zionist groups which control him. He is in the pocket of the Zionists. He is at the, pardon my French, slap beach of Mr. Netanyahu, and that tells you everything you need to know. But there are some groups, obviously, considering the fact that the United States is not even a cohesive political system anymore. It's just a bunch of the, it's a circus, essentially, of one group fighting the other group, and so that's what it is. It's a mess. But evidently there is some understanding on part of especially military, because this is the last American institution where some remnants of competence are left. again, even within militarily, United States Army and Pentagon is basically paper tigers, but at least there are people there who understand the balance of power and how they correlate the forces and means. So, and as the result, there is some pressure on Trump to, offer something, because United States cannot continue like this. And once he also loses, which is happening right now, MAGA is over, so because the huge part of MAGA crowd, so to speak, they are basically disillusioned right now with him. Once the midterms come, my God, he may lose he may lose the House and the Senate, and that will be it for him for political. There are many people in Democratic Party with the knives out for him. And now, I mean, the guy literally ran himself into the corner, which tells you very much about who he is. He's not very bright, okay, let's put it this way. He remains primarily showman and hot air balloon. And so what can I say? He is obviously desperate for any kind of success, however it will be presented. And that's probably the part of it, but yeah, we know. Remember, he was supposed to stop the war in 24 hours, in 60 days, then 100 days. Then we have now 7 months. So, and it's not going to stop. The Russians will actually, people do not understand. 4 new Russian territories like Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donetsk, and Lugansk. Lugansk is completely liberated. Donetsk Oblast is about to be completely liberated. They are part of Russia per Russian constitution. So it's not like, oh yeah, we stop, on this freeze the line, ceasefire. No. It doesn't work like this, So, and whatever is, going around primarily as rumors. So, well, what can I say? We'll have to wait and see. And even when everything, said and done during the meeting, you have to understand there will be some agreements, so to speak, between some groups in the United States and the Russian government that, we will not know about it. But what is going to be happening, we'll have to wait and see. Plus, yeah, Trump is desperate, the same as Europeans. Evidently, there are rumor of taking very high-level intelligence officers of the United Kingdom, including MI6 operative, high-level MI6 operative in Achakov by Russian special forces, are not exactly rumors. So it did happen. So there is another issue which Trump needs to, and Witkoff was probably negotiating or trying to get those guys out, So, but yeah, there are very many things which we don't know, and we will not know until they leaked down the road, that, oh yeah, this is what this was all about. So this is what is happening right now. We'll see.
I think the options for the administration in the United States is to you continue the way that you continued in Afghanistan and continue just supporting and sending weapons and making chaos, or you want something happen. And what are the limits? I think Donald Trump has reached the limits of the United States influence, because when you go after India, when you talk about nuclear submarines, you send nukes to the United Kingdom. These are the last thing that you would talk
Yeah.
about if you want to go to extreme. So there is nothing beyond that to talk about.
Oh, there is nothing not only beyond that, there is nothing behind that either. So United States was fairly well demilitarized, as was Europe. They can talk whatever they want, but you know what? If you don't have something to give me, you don't. So unless United States, which already happened, we know that American officers also begin to speak up, about this whole situation, that United States got itself pretty much to the bottom of the barrel in terms of any equipment which it can deliver to Ukraine. In other words, there is nothing United States can deliver to Ukraine which change anything, any kind of the outcome, apart from the fact that is a dramatic, catastrophic failure of American technology and operations. So we already know that. So yeah, they were scavenging basically, for patriots, I mean, which still changed nothing, in the outcome. Poor Europeans, militarily, they are paupers. They are homeless people, essentially. They have nothing. Russians already just basically taunting them, like, "Hey, France, how about you have 222 Leclerc, operation tanks? Send up some more." They send mirages. Those mirages are falling out of the skies because they're basically junk, So, and yeah, if as much as United States is demilitarized, Europe is not even in the same league. It's just pathetic bunch of the disjoint, formations, and the TOE, table of organization equipment, is that of the, well, pretty much, expensive third world. Let's put it this way. Do they want to say Centrophiles? Of course not. French Air Force has like, what, 62 of them operational, or maybe 90 or something like that. So per Germany, it's not even funny. Same goes for United Kingdom. And when you begin to look at this, I mean, yeah, what can they supply? Nothing. Their equipment sucks. Operational concepts suck. So the military advisors and officer corps are just semi-professional. They are just amateurs, pretty much. So, and when you look at this, what do you want to do? You want to escalate to the nuclear threshold, but then again, you know how it will all end for everybody. And there are certainly a bunch of the Russian cruise missiles with the specific addresses on them, for specific people, or specific families, if you know what I'm talking about. And so that's what is at stake here. And it's good that, it's very good. I am second decade now, more than, 11 years since my blog. I speak about it nonstop. United States and Russia have to talk. They must talk. Because this is how this duet, if you wish, this pair decides the fates of the Earth in terms of the survivability of the civilization. Because if somebody blinks in terms of their nukes, it's over for everybody, pretty much, and nothing gonna save anybody, So in this case, this is good. So, but again, as I already stated, we will see. So.
Andrei, what has happened to the picture of NATO during the war in Ukraine? And NATO was something that before, you remember those days when they started this operation. Who's gonna defeat NATO? Nobody's able to defeat NATO. And today, that the United States, it seems that the Patriot systems that Europeans bought from the United States, they're gonna deliver them in the next 7 years. And
yeah, and they do not work. Yeah, what is the funniest thing?
If I want to talk about the Patriot system, but before going there, Andrei, if we were to assume, evaluate, reassess what has happened to NATO during the war in Ukraine, is it something that, because strategically they wanted to win, but they couldn't do it, what has happened to their picture, and who's responsible for that?
They all are. NATO was paraded as the paper tiger. You had Jacques Beau, did you? So Jacques wrote outstanding book on that, and I'm so proud that he wrote also the, forward for my book, latest one. So it's just, he told you. Those people do not understand what movie is. They see the frozen picture, which they are stuck with in 1990s. That tells you everything about their professional level, which is extremely low. Then I can tell you the officer corps of NATO is nowhere near in terms of academics and in terms of the tactical, let alone operational skills to, Russian officers. And as a result, we see that technological, it's not just, they are lagging now. Not by years. Yes, in terms of weapon systems and in terms of the operational concepts and tactical concepts, they lag by generations. So you have those guys, this relic from 1990s, which basically drank its whole Kool-Aid, well, after the United States primarily, but also part of NATO, beat the crap out of the retarded, pardon my French, semi-literate and backward Saddam's army, and they were like, oh my God, we're so cool. No, you're not. and Russians already then were saying this is not a real war. A real war is a little bit different. And so now that it was demonstrated, and again, do not forget, I want to stress all the time, I write about it nonstop. Russians fight with one hand, which is right hand, tied behind their back. They fight with one left hand only. And look what already happened. So, and now these people, and especially there are a bunch of the cretins who are their political elites, they're degenerate, they are perverted, and they are stupid. Most of them are the level of Annalena Baerbock. There are people like, they are cretins, basically, say they don't know the world outside and they believed in themselves to being so incredible. And then suddenly in the last 36 months, we see what we see. And yeah, they want to fight war with Russia conventionally. Good luck with that. So, and that's what happened. And now they are in the extreme panic, frustration, obviously. And yeah, the population also is not very happy in their countries. But that's the thing. The historical turning point has been, essentially, well, it's point of no return, if you wish. The West's domination is over. For 500 years, Western civilization dominated and shaped the world. We all live in the world shaped by the Western civilization. We cannot escape it. It gave us great achievements in all spheres of human life, from the medicine, technology, science, art, so the contribution was immense. But it also gave us a lot of violence. And some of this violence, as we saw in the 20th century, was on the industrial scale. And basically what is happening in Ukraine right now, these are closing salvos of the World War II. And they are closing salvos of the World War II, with the United States saving Europe after the complete disgrace and war, crimes against humanity, which it committed by its concentrated expression through the Nazi Germany and Nazi and fascist ideas. And that's the end of it. After that, we see what is happening in East Asia. We see the giants rising, China, obviously, and we see the decline of the combined West. And Europe is poor. It has no resources. It's just, it could, because it had the scientific and technological advancement in 18th and 19th century, it could exploit the the main body of human civilization from Africa to Eurasia. Remember China, remember Africa, India, Russia, all the things. It's over. And Europe has nothing. Then that's the whole thing. We live in the economy of the 21st century, which is the energy, always was energy, but even more so today. And as the result, they have nothing which can help them to, well, essentially address the energy hunger. All people Europe had to deal with and provide itself the acceptable standard of living and further development. They broke the relations with Russia. Iran, all those major deliveries of the energy, and what can I say? They let them drive electric vehicles. So that's what it is.
The only region that, in my opinion, has a great risk of a new war is the Pacific, is the East Asia. I don't see NATO getting involved with the conflict in the Middle East. That's I don't see that happening. And the case of Ukraine is already, the case is done, and there is nothing more to.
Yeah, it was over for some time. Yeah.
Do you feel that they're going to learn from what has happened in Ukraine to not escalate it in Taiwan?
No, they will not. Don't forget who controls Washington. Those are essentially neocon fanatics. And while obviously we can talk about the Middle East, but they are essentially achieving their goals through the cowardice of Arab world. which is corrupted completely and have no honor. And so they will continue to deal with that. But do not forget, there is a lot of anger in them, always was, especially Trotskyites. Again, they are fanatics. Okay, let's be very clear about it. Some of them are religious fanatics, others they're ideological fanatics, but they are fanatics and not very bright. Neocons and Washington in general are not good militarily. But in case of the war with China, if to imagine that it happens, Taiwan, they will do false flag or something like that. Yeah, they have this ace, up their sleeve, which is the submarine force of the United States, which can basically deal a lot of damage, to especially Chinese Navy, its surface fleet. And that may, in their perverted considerations somehow, to, and especially attacks on the coastal facilities of the Chinese army and things of this nature, may give them some kind of the impetus to think that they can convince China to essentially surrender, or make them feel so humiliated that they say, oh, okay, you see, we've defeated the big one. That could be the consideration, obviously, but from what I observe, it's a still kind of shaky proposition. And do not forget, we do have the situation when the United States literally is demilitarized. They cannot produce enough planes. Forget about planes. I mean, F-35 is a joke anyway. So they cannot produce enough missiles. They cannot produce enough air defense complexes. The only thing they can produce is, first, it's submarines, especially Pacific Fleet submarine forces. They can deploy to Chinese shores or Taiwan shores, if you wish. And they can do the submarine warfare there, because Chinese subs are, yeah, I'm not going to be going there. And then they have, they build those systems, which are nothing more than good old clamps, Tomahawk land attack missiles. They stick them into the wheeled MK-41 vertical launch system, which is basically, cut out basically the system and stick those containers on the wheeled chassis. So that's about it. And we know that AUKUS fell through. Now we know that Spain says that, told United States to go pound sand in terms of F-35, because everybody laughs at it. It's a lame duck. It's not a real combat plane. So when you look at this, I don't know what they're thinking about. But then again, fanatics in Washington, they have been occupying it since, for 30 years now. And considering the extremely low level of the operational planning, which we all observed in Ukraine, because it was planned by the NATO and United States. Who knows? It's difficult to say. As I already stated, you cannot play the rational game with those people. They are irrational. They are basically doing things on the whim, by the emotions, like we see Mr. Trump doing things. And so, again, difficult to predict anything, but Russians forecasted it a long time ago, and they stated that we are looking at the high turbulence, few years until they will resign themselves to the fact that it's over for the United States as this, grossly exaggerated to start with, military power which can do anything what it wants. It never could, and especially now it can't, so. And however they want to fight war with, again, it's, if it doesn't go to nuclear threshold, then all this Taiwan business could be a huge but regional war. Okay, it will not be, and I don't think it will be even the scale of Ukraine, if we start with this. And so who knows? We'll see. Nima,
Yeah. What's your expectation in the Middle East, Andrei? What are we gonna? Because it's not just about the Middle East. We know that southern flank of Russia is somehow they're trying to.
oh
When it's
yeah,
come to, the conflict would be there, and I think we're gonna
yeah,
live with that conflict, and just the two sides
yeah,
somehow fighting each other. But How do you see that? Could Is that gonna we are we gonna see some sort of two sides being more distinct, being more definitive to fight each other? How do you find the
Where do you mean,
situation
Middle
in the
East or
southern
Caucasus?
flank of Russia? I'm
No,
talking about the
Caucasus, yeah, they flew. Pashinyan and Aliyev flew into Washington to meet Trump. Well, sure, let them go. But again, you have to understand, and this is the thing which I always continue to stress, and this is the matter of the serious military and geopolitical background. It's correlation of forces and means. Most people in Washington have no clue what it means. They don't understand it. They don't understand how it is calculated. They don't understand how the practical data sets go into this. They just simply don't understand that. They also don't teach this in military academies in the United States. So that is why they think that Azerbaijan, with population of 5 million people, and Armenia with 3, they make that big of a difference. If they want to kill each other, hey, go right ahead. Obviously, we have Iran, which has its own opinions, for example, in terms of the Zangezur corridor, and Iran has a very good relations with Armenia, at least it used to. Mr. Pashinyan evidently is there to surrender Armenia. So, and Armenia is committing suicide. Well, it's their business. Russians don't care anymore. That's the point. You see, that's the point. If they're gonna kill each other, fine. They want to prevent the north-south corridor, but they do not understand that in the end, if you look attentively, the major thrust of the north-south corridor was not even the railroad, which of course would have been very helpful if you would have the good old times, even in the Soviet Union. Moscow-Tehran train, you go through Baku, in Baku they stick those few rail cars which go to Tehran, and off you go, just go to the, customs at the Astara in near Caspian Sea, and you go into Iran. Not anymore. However, the main thrust today of this north-south corridor is actually by Caspian Sea. And if you take a look right now, Russians are building those Caspian container carrying ships like there is no tomorrow. So it is all was primarily based from Astrakhan to Enzeli, the port Enzeli in what used to be Pahlavi, but now it's Port Enzeli on the Caspian Sea, where they built those facilities to handle this container, stream. So in this case, yeah, if they want to kill each other, it's not Soviet Union. Russians actually destroyed right now the Azerbaijani diaspora, which is essentially not diaspora. It's basically organized crime group. If you follow recent events there, it was completely decimated by Russian law enforcement. So that's why Aliyev also is very unhappy, because obviously majority of Azeris do not live in Azerbaijan. They live in Russia and work in Russia, and it was a huge portion of the Azerbaijan budget, apart from the selling, obviously, oil and gas. So if they want to kill each other, let them. Armenia is not friendly country to Russia. Russians are keenly aware of it. So will they allow Turkey? What can Turkey do? I mean, Turkey obviously is a powerful and important regional country, but many people do not understand. Okay, Turks will first, nobody will allow to completely destroy Armenia for humanitarian reasons. But what I can tell you one thing is that there is a Russian base there at Gyumri, and well, if Turkey wants to do something, they want to link with Azerbaijan. Again, as I already stated, there is a huge power in terms of Iran there. Okay, and the Iranians have their own opinion on this matter. As per Middle East, I know that Vladimir Putin this week, spoke to Netanyahu twice. Whatever they were discussing, again, nobody will tell us what they did discussed, apart from those general words, platitudes, like they discussed the issue of the Middle East tensions or whatever. Obviously, this was the issue of Gaza and humanitarian and crimes against humanity committed by Israel, and obviously also in terms of the not destabilizing completely the Middle East. But again, with Arabs, yeah, we already saw how they operate. They are bought out completely, utterly corrupt, cowardly, and they do nothing. That is why everybody continues to say, oh, why don't Russia come in Gaza? What Russia has to do with Gaza per se, so it's just like, but again, you cannot explain this to people, especially those emotional ones, because we all are emotional. We are all outraged by what is committed by Israel. But essentially, it also will mean eventually the death of Israel itself as the state, because it cannot continue anymore. The Holocaust card, this professional victims, is gone. It's completely discredited, as they say. Your Holocaust credit card, was rejected. It's over. So they want to try to continue to essentially discredit the rest of the Israeli society, which turns out to be genocidal. Well, good luck with that. They are teeny-weeny percentage of people, while the rest of the world watches. Yeah, but Arabs failed. It was their business to stop it. Nah.
They're not running.
Yeah, they're not Iran. Yeah. And Iran was trying to do its best through Hezbollah, to support the Palestinian statehood, but for some reason they decided that it is Iran's and Russia's business to do it. Well, it is Arabs' business. They are Arab people. They're
doing nothing. I would argue even Turkey, Andrei. Turkey is doing nothing.
Oh, Turkey! No, Turkey is Turkey. The only thing they care about in Ankara is how much the mullah, Mr. Erdogan and his clique receive from trading with Israel. So it's all PR. Reality is, but then again, you cannot blame Turks either. Turks are not Arabs. They are Sunni, but they are not Arabs. Arabs are the people in the Middle East, and Maghreb, North Africa. They did nothing. Egypt, who is the nothing. So there you go. What can I say? Nothing could be done about it.
Exactly. Andrei, did Witkoff talk about trilateral meeting between Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Zelensky?
I quote immediately the Kremlin official statement. We don't comment on this. There's nothing to discuss. It's obviously that then there was other Peskov statement today. Probably he said, "Oh yeah, Vladimir Putin. Yeah, Vladimir Putin himself stated it. Oh no, in principle it's possible, but conditions have to, and we're nowhere near those conditions to be fulfilled. So yeah, nothing happens, and that's it. So." Russians are not the type of people who run out there and begin to, stamp each other into their chest, and scream like, "Oh, look at us! We're not gonna do." No, Russians are always, this, almost down to earth, very muffled, sort of statements. No, period. There's nothing to discuss it. Trump, whatever Trump wants, it's his problems, And Mr. Putin, a week ago, he already stated beautifully when speaking together with Lukashenko at Valam Island in Russia. He stated, inflated expectations are the problems of those people who have those expectations. And this was directed at Trump, So we'll see. Again, it's difficult to say anything. We just know everything is solved on the battlefield. And the going for Russians is really good.
Do we know if Europeans knew about the proposal? I would say that the suggestion of the Trump administration to Russians.
Well, they might have leaked some of it. I don't think, as I already stated, those things haven't been delivered, in any writing or anything. They were delivered verbally from Witkoff personally to Putin. Yeah. It was Putin who said, okay, let's try this. So, and that's what Ushakov, his aide, stated that, they made an offer which seems acceptable. Seems critical things. Russians are extremely careful with, wording of whatever they say. Seems acceptable. Seems acceptable. they will see what's going to happen in the personal meeting, and after that, we'll see. And the rest of it is just all fantasies of all kinds of the media outlets and those chuvavas politicians from Europe, because Europe is terrified, and especially its elites, because it's all about them supporting Ukraine, while in reality they have nothing to support with. But again, as I already stated, the West tenure is over. It's over for them, and they are degenerates, basically. If you look attentively, those elites, yeah, and in the United States, also in Washington, degenerates, perverts, pedophiles, all kinds, every single vice you can possibly see. This is the indication of the collapsing civilization, because every collapsing civilization always degenerates into the pedophilia, sexual deviancy, all kinds of stuff like that. And what we see, it's a famous picture, Nero playing the lyre on the while Rome is burning. Rome is not just burning. If we talk about the West, it's almost done burning. It are mostly ashes. And so whatever is left, if they can salvage it, well, good luck. But Europe is done, over. For Europeans, it's over. For United States, it depends.
Yeah. Do you feel that Europe would accept, would somehow, or you feel that they're gonna do something about it?
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, Europe is not the subject of international relations. It's an object. And in the end, it will be as United States tells them to be, because obviously they committed suicide for the United States. Many people forget about it. Those cretins, in Europe, they basically committed suicide because Biden administration told them, yeah, jump, and they asked how high. So, and same happening here, but with a little bit more resistance. But yeah, entities like UK or even Germans will try to do nasty things. French. Oh yeah, French think they are superpower. Yeah, they're so powerful. They will obviously may not even exist beyond 2050 as a country. But yeah, I mean, so they will try to do all kinds of nasty provocations, terrorist acts. That's the extent of their military capability. Sabotage, like Mr. Narishkin, SVR, issued warning 3 days ago that Ukraine and United Kingdom will try to sink one of the tankers, of the so-called, it's not really a shadow fleet, it's just, different flags. Everybody sails on a different flag of the so-called shadow fleet of Russian tankers. Yeah, that's what they're good at. They are good killing civilians, So that's pretty much the extent of it. Militarily, Europe is pathetic.
Andrei, do you feel that Russia would? Yesterday, I was talking with Ray McGovern. He said that the only thing that the United States could somehow bargain or talk about is the cordon sanitaire. This Odessa, Nikolaev going up to Kharkiv, and they may do something to that region as a buffer zone, as something, in the final assessment, in the final settlement, the document, that they would consider this zone as a buffer zone. Do you feel that would be the case in the mind of Russians? How do you find the Russian side, the way that they're talking about it in the media, the tone? What is the atmosphere in Russia about the buffer zone? Andrei, can you hear me? I cannot hear you, Andrei. It seems that there is some sort of problem with your connection, Andrei. Yeah, he has no connection. It seems that there is something. It's so interesting. Today I talked with Dmitry Orlov. At the end, it's gone. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. He's gonna be back. he's coming up. Yeah, 2 times today with Dmitry Orlov and right now with Andrei Martyanov. And there is something going on with the internet connection. Yeah, you're back, Andrei.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's
it's
fine.
something with the browsers or CIA or Mossad trying to stop us. Anyhow, can you repeat the question? Because I could hear you, but when I disappeared.
Yeah, my question was about the uh, yeah, the people are saying that because today happened to me and Dmitry Orlov as we were talking and at the end he lost his
Yeah,
connection and something happened.
it happens all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what was the question? I'm
Yeah,
old.
yeah. The question, Andre, is that the case of what's going on. I want to know about the atmosphere in Russia. How do they see the situation in Ukraine in terms of the
Oh, okay. Yeah,
cordon sanitaire, the buffers there?
I hear you. Yeah, now I recall. Yeah, what you were. First, we don't know. Russians do not want to govern Ukrainians. Period. The overall atmosphere in Russia is they are not brotherly people. They betrayed Russians, and so Russians were stupid enough after 2014 to open border to all Ukrainians, which, of course, as you might understand, they also imported through that all kinds of the sleeper cells of the Ukrainian terrorists, all kinds of the intel, kind of undercover intel operations and things like that. It's over. Majority of Russians do not want to have anything to do with Ukrainians. They do not want to govern them. And so in this case, we know that those, nobody even discusses Crimea, but those 4 oblasts, other part of Russia, doesn't matter. So Ukrainian troops will be thrown out of this. And but the rest of it, who knows? The question will be actually how denazification of Ukraine. And that comes with whatever they will be discussing, I don't know. Russians keep those cards close to themselves, and so, but the point is, Russians from the get-go, they never said that they want complete annihilation of the Ukrainian statehood. Let Ukraine be the state. And this was actually implicit and explicit in many statements and things like that. So, but again, it will be completely demilitarized country, whatever will be left, and it will be with a lot of obvious, autonomies and basic preservation of the Russophone population. And how it will be arranged, I don't know. It's very difficult to say. But yeah, there will be also cordon sanitaire, and who knows? And again, Russian famous phrase: considering the realities on the ground. The realities on the ground, Russians are deep into Sumy region, they are deep in Kharkov region, so, and Dnipropetrovsk now. So we'll see.
Do you feel that Russia would agree Ukraine joining EU, the European Union?
Not anymore. I don't think so. Not anymore. It used to be that, yeah, sure, EU, but not NATO. But well, now it's who knows. Yeah, but Russians will be very interested that EU pays for rebuilding Ukraine, whatever they can rebuild. Ukraine already have been deindustrialized mightily. So what many people do not understand. And as a result, it's going to be, which is being reduced as we speak. Well, it's essentially Morgenthau plan, but not explicitly. It's going to be primarily agricultural country. It was already declining industrially before, but now when Russians reduced very much, their electric generating infrastructure, transport infrastructure, which was always horrible to start with, then you don't have very much in terms of any kind of the high tech. Russians didn't completely blow up the motor siege, parts of it. For some reason, Russians want to preserve it. Who knows? But Dnipropetrovsk is getting it really hard and bad, starting from Yuzhmash and whatever the other things. It's just absolute rubble. So Russians are not going to be restoring it. So that was killed off forever. So as the result, yeah, you will have this, agrarian country, poor but controllable, and then we'll see what happens down the road.
Even if the Russians give the green light to Ukraine joining EU, I don't see EU being
No, they don't want that. They already had the experience with millions of so-called Ukrainian refugees, and let them enjoy it. They wanted it. It's the same as, what can I say? You wanted it, you got it. People have to bear responsibility for their actions. And that's the other thing. Russians have no sympathy to Europeans whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. The Russians turned away from Europe completely. So, and I need to, so, pardon me. No, one thing. Okay. Russians have been turned away from Europe completely. Russians don't care about Europe. That's the point. That's what they don't understand. They still think that, but then again, average European, he is or she is brainwashed. They think that somehow Russians are eating the pickled hedgehogs and live as the, like in misery paupers. Russians are actually living the majority of Europe now, and it will be even better. So, and that is why for many Europeans who ever visited Russia, even before the special military operation, and I know my friends, American friends, went there first time, and they went to St. Petersburg. They were just absolutely taken aback. They couldn't believe it. Said, "This is wealthy. This is like So, and I'm not talking about just about architectural and cultural significance. They were just, oh my God, services, there, roads, everything, infrastructure. Well, yeah." That's what it happens, These are idiots are stuck in 1990s, as I already stated. I love this Sarah Page. She's strategist. She has degree in history. Okay, so she has no military background whatsoever. She graduated this, degree mill from Georgetown or whatever. And so she tells her, and she teaches strategy in U.S. Naval War College, no less. And speaking about Russia, she says, "Oh, Putin should invest not in war, into the roads." Well, did she see Russian highways recently? It's not like, this is not to say that Russia doesn't have crap holes. She certainly does, as any other country, but those people do not even know the subject. They are that ignorant. And this is another indication of the collapse of the civilization. They begin to live in this delusional world. They pretend things, and yeah.
I don't know how, if they get something, they get a settlement in Ukraine, how that would be possible for European leaders to explain it to the public opinion, to the people of their countries. What was that?
Who cares? I mean, from Russian point of view, nobody cares. That's the beauty of it. It's an iron curtain. Just live there, do this, thing. Europeans will live just fine without Russian culture. It's happened with Italy, because they canceled the Mariinsky Orchestra with Valery Gergiev, the legendary conductor. They canceled it. So, yeah, cancel it. Remove Tolstoy. Remove Dostoevsky. Remove Tchaikovsky. They don't deserve, as I already stated. I am not being dramatic here. I repeat it again and again. And I mean it. It's not hyperbole. I think that monuments and graves of Red Army soldiers who liberated Europe from Nazism have to be all have to be expatriated back to Russia. Europe doesn't deserve a, a single blood of Russian soldier or Russian citizen who will not, if they turn into their whatever, the Sharia zone or in the concentration camp, it's their problems. Let them live with that. Okay? And this is simple as that. And that is why many people think, oh, you cannot say that. Oh, yes, I can. So they don't need Russian culture. They don't need anything from Russia. The same as Russians don't need anything from them. And those normal people from Europe who continue to move into Russia, which, a number of the ways, including the values visa, so they are met with their, open arms and. But other than that, Europe is the existential enemy of Russian people. If it is tomorrow, goes into the, I don't know, is washed out by the gigantic tsunami, nobody will even flinch in Russia. The only thing is, of course, how to save their artistic treasures of Louvre, let's say, the Dresden Gallery or something like that. So other than that, so that's what they don't understand, So nobody goes there. Nobody cares about them, So, and they committed, it was Europe, which started 2 world wars. And we are at the finishing salvos of the World War II. As Mr. Zhukov told to Mr. Rokossovsky in 1945 in Berlin, we liberated them from Nazism and they will hate us for that. Guess what? Prophetic.
It seems that Europe is going to experience great, huge changes, Andrei, in the near future if something happens with the Ukrainian settlement, in my opinion, because many people in Europe still believe that Ukraine is winning, the West is defeating Russia. We have to address that. We have to understand that sort of mindset because of the governments.
Yeah, they wanted it. Yeah, absolutely. They are gullible. Everybody knows, for example, German society is conformist. Apart from the fact that it always hated Russians, okay, majority of, but they are conformist, and so that is why they are brainwashed. In United States, you have alternative media. You still have people who have the choices. They are bad choices, make no mistake. You always vote for the lesser evil. But at least, Americans speak about it. Look what this wave of, with the Epstein files. Look at the wave, the raising voice against, Gaza. Things are happening. Europe, no, they're a bunch of, well, I understand not all of them, but majority of cattle, they committed suicide. These were the Cretans who voted for this green energy, and you have people who still believe that. So, look at their officer corps. It's pathetic. How the hell they operate something? They still try to fly aircraft or anything. Militarily, they are incompetent. And technologically, so yeah, they still do things, somewhat. But again, they will become paupers. That's the problem. They are becoming paupers. The population already is living not well. It's gonna be living like, well, in some parts of the third world. In some parts, it already is.
Yeah. Somehow it feels that the society is dead.
It's dead, yeah, it's decomposing. And they applauded, Europeans applauded this perversion. Look at French. Okay, let's say that pedophilia is one of their values. Remember Age of Consent, 1977. They're so-called philosophers, they're intellectuals, Sartre, Derrida, Foucault. It was all about raping the little girls, little children. That's who they are. And there is no even protestations or anything. They are just, yeah, that's who we are, So yeah, and they will get it. They're already getting it. So this is it's written, it's writing on the wall. It's there. It's happening as we speak. And again, as I already stated, they will be very poor. And I'm talking like very poor. So, and all those attempts to present the better picture, like, oh yeah, we're so cool. No, you're not. So, and it's over.
Thank you so much, Andrei, for being with us today. Great
My
pleasure, as always.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye bye.